Hello everyone, this is Banter Bill, and welcome to Caudecus' Manor, Path 2 Dungeon Guide. This is not a speedrunning guide, but a guide meant for those who are new to the dungeon or for those who need a refresher. In terms of class composition, you can really bring any class to this dungeon, but Thieves help and classes with Reflex help. Starting off, our Guardian was very ambitious and decided to start the dungeon before we had a full party. So we go up here and we kill these two guys. I like to use, as a thief, my pistol 5 attack, just keep them constant blind, that makes it much easier. They do throw down a lot of conditions on you, so be careful about that. I will mention starting off that we use a lot of bugs in this path. You will see us attacking through walls, doing massive damage to bosses. So if and when that gets fixed, I will post a new dungeon guide without those bugs. So here's one right here. We're attacking through the wall to kill the boss on the other side. If you think this is really boring, it is. It is much more boring than it looks. If you want to fight her head on, she is not hard at all. Just go into the room and fight her head on. I think she's just a regular tank and spank boss. We initially have trouble finding 5 people for this path. The first person who joined was a level 40 character, which this is a level 45 dungeon, and the second person who joined was thinking that this was AC. But eventually we do get a full group. And with this next room too, we're just going to attack through these walls. The goal of this section is to hit these various switches. The first switch we hit through the wall after we killed the boss, and the second switch after we kill these guys, we're just going to go in and quickly hit. Again, if you think this is too boring, you just want to fight these guys without bugging through the wall, they're pretty easy. I just recommend bringing your reflex or blind skills for these guys. So we go in, hit the switch, and then run back out. You don't need to kill the turrets if you want to, although you can, especially if you're going to go in the room. Once you hit all the switches, you want to talk to this medic. Alright, and then once you do that, be careful not to go all the way back, because it's a trap. There are net turrets across the way and a boss midway through, so what I like to do is place my smoke screen and then lure the boss back upstairs. And then we'll fight the boss stacked up here. For the boss, he's a regular tank and spank. I recommend using blinds and reflex to take down the 2 ads that come with him, and then once you beat those 2 ads, the boss himself is not a problem. He may focus fire on one person, and that may bring them down, but just if you're stacked, just pick them right back up.
Time to do some real damage.
So we're just going to take down this boss. Alright, pretty straightforward. To kill the net turrets across the way, I like to stealth everyone across. I tried to indicate that I was using Shadow Refuge, but our Guardian is very ambitious in this path, just likes to charge straight ahead. Once you get to the other side, use your reflex or blinds on these riflemen, kill them first. They are much more annoying than net turrets and do much more damage. Half the group didn't come along with me, they're just attacking from range, which I guess you can do, but if I'm stealthing everyone across, you may as well bring the whole group. All 3 of these guys use range attacks, the riflemen and the bombers, so reflex are extremely useful here. And I'm just going to throw down my AoE blinds on these guys. Alright, and then what coming up I think is the coolest part of this dungeon. It's basically the floor is lava, like you played when you were a kid. You can only step on the carpets going into this room. Now, if you have a thief, it's trivial, because you can just warp around everywhere. And that's what I'm going to do. So one person can solo this, if you have a thief. But otherwise, you need to only step on the carpets. There are pillows scattered throughout this part, which you need to bring with you and throw on the ground to make some of these gaps. Like, you can't jump across that carpet and make it. You need to throw a pillow halfway in between and then jump on that pillow. So I think that's a very cool mechanic, but it's kind of wasted on a thief. because you can just longbow 5 all the way across. If you don't have a thief, I recommend killing the guys before you start making your way across. Having them throw these projectiles at you is very annoying when you're playing the floor as lava. Then we just wait here for our 2 group members. I don't know why they stuck back. Maybe they didn't realize that only one person had to make it. Then we're going to pull the scout into this corner. I just use my AoE blinds here. The scouts have an odd mechanic, which once they get down to like 25% health, they'll go and get their allies. I think that's very cool. The scouts are somewhat dangerous because they do throw down a lot of conditions on you very quickly, so I recommend condition removals for these scouts. Then once the scouts bring back the other guys, just stay in the same stack, throw down your AoE blinds or reflex, and you should have no problem. The archers are a bit annoying. They're not difficult, they just have tons of evades and blocks, so they take a bit to take down. Now next, I like to fight the boss next, but our guardian was like, okay, let's fight these guys. You have to fight these guys eventually, so I guess you can do it in this order, but it's kind of out of sequence. So we just stack in this corner, again killing the scouts first, the scouts bring their friends back, and then we'll kill their friends. Alright, then I try to get a barrel now to see if it was worth killing these guys out of sequence, but you can't, so you can do this boss first. I like to stack in that corner that I was just in. Our guardian wants to stack here. I don't like this as much because the mobs don't come all the way to you. I found I had to stand like right in the middle to really hit all the mobs, my AoE blinds especially. So I like that corner, but it works just as fine. It's just a little more convenient to stack in the corner I previously indicated. So what you want to do is just pull the trash mobs first, and then you want to pull the boss after you kill all the trash mobs. Now the boss is pretty straightforward. Her main gimmick is that she will spawn these swords, like the guardian swords, and you want to kill those swords every time they come up. If you don't, the boss will get tons of retaliation, and that retaliation kills you very quickly. I don't know why, but her retaliation does tons of damage. So kill those swords when you see them up. If you see retaliation on the boss, that means there's a sword up somewhere. She also has a symbol which will plant fire on you. If you have a guardian who can heal through it, you can stay in melee the entire time. But we stay at range, it's fine as long as you kill those swords every time they come up. And then once you kill the boss, grab your chest and a vent chest that was around the corner.
May Balthasar strengthen you. Nice one.
Now there's a dog to the right, which we will fight later. We're going to do that after this part. He's an optional boss, so you can skip him altogether. He only drops a champ chest if you want to go for him. So here's probably the most exploity part of the dungeon. So the goal is to place 5 kegs simultaneously at the gate. Now the adds will try to pick up the kegs as you plant them. So what you want to do first is actually bring kegs to a safe spot, as they'll be useful later in the dungeon. The safest spot is probably on the stairs on the railing, as the adds will not be able to pick them up if you place them there. Now if you place a barrel like our guardian did, the adds will spawn towards you. I do not like doing it this method. It works, it's just somewhat annoying. The method I like to do is head straight from my screen facing now around the corner, and you place the barrels there, and then the adds will start chasing you. And then once the adds start chasing you, you come back to the barrel pile and then head towards the gate. Now this method works fine, and really any way to get the adds away from you works. But I like to just do around the corner. You're less likely to die, especially with the adds chasing you. The main key though is that if you're going to use the exploit later on, is to save at least 5 barrels. And again, the best way to save them is at that railing. So the way our guardian did it ended up working out, because now all the mobs are gone. I don't know what happened to them, but they're just gone. I think they may be waiting at the railing, but I didn't really see any there. Some of them just despawned on my screen. But we take advantage of the situation. Again, we're going to all get barrels and try to place them simultaneously at the gate. Now if you do it the way I mentioned before, going around the corner and placing there, you don't need to be simultaneous, because the mobs will be chasing those barrels far away, and you don't need exact timing. Doing it this way, the mobs will immediately warp to us once one person places down a barrel. So we need critical timing here. So we just wait for our guardian to count down, then we're going to place the barrels and blow up the gate. Then we're going to fight these ads. If you want to, you can go through the gate to the right. That's what I initially wanted to do, but we just decided to stay here. That just makes it easier to stack. I mean, they're all stacked up anyway, so it wasn't too bad. Reflects and blinds are always useful on these guys.
I can barely stand.
Alright, then once you kill these mobs, head back to the stairs and pick up your kegs. Now the purpose of saving the kegs is that the kegs do a set % amount of damage to a bad guy. So if it's on a boss, you'll do like 40,000 damage because it does a set percentage of their health. So we decided to use the kegs to attack the optional hound boss. And I actually had never done that before, so I thought that was a great tip by the guardian in the group, is to use the kegs to kill the optional boss. Now if you fight the hound regularly, his main gimmick is a fear attack, which will fear you if you're in melee range. If you do fight him regularly, I would take down the ads first before the hound, but since we have the barrels, we're just going to take down the hound first.
Time to do some real damage.
So just use your one skill on the hound if you have the kegs. I use it here and I do 40,000 damage. That is crazy. And I do not expect this bug to last forever, because this keg trick is just way too good, especially with 5 people doing it at the same time. We take down this legendary boss in like 45 seconds. Now the silver guys you don't need to use the kegs for, because again they only do a set % amount of damage, so you may actually be better off dropping your keg and just facing them regularly. I decided to take my keg. I was curious how much damage they did. I think I did 5,000 damage per hit. So depending on how much DPS you have, you may want to use the kegs or not.
I can't believe I told them about the sergeant.
You didn't have a choice. They made you do it.
So bring your kegs, and we're going to the next group of ads. Now our thief wanted to skip this group. Coming up, I think you're just better off fighting them. Really, if you have projectile reflex and blinds, you should be fine. I like to take down the bomber first because I think he's the most annoying. So I throw down my throwing daggers, which is a reflect attack, and I'm going to throw down my blind attack next. I guess I'm not going to throw it down, I'll just range him from afar. There we go, my past self had some brains. I throw down my reflected or my projectile block then.
To do some real damage.
Alright, then make sure you grab your kegs because we're going to use it on the next boss. You want to pull the next boss to you. Even if you aggro the mobs will not move. So it's fine if you aggro them, just pull the boss to you. And then use your kegs to bring down this boss. We kill a legendary again in like 30 seconds. It is crazy.
6 feet tall.
Alright, then for this next group, I do recommend skipping this next group. You can climb this cliff here to skip it if you want to. I think this is the best way to do it. Or if you have the heals or stealth, you can just run straight through. Alright, if you do come up on the ledge, I recommend using Shadow Refuge to either get yourself across or just to go straight towards the chest. So I use Shadow Refuge to get the chest and then run towards the boss. And we're going to do the same thing on this boss. It is crazy how much your kegs damage do. If you're facing the boss normally, he'll switch between Plague form and normal form. You cannot hurt him while he's in Plague form, so I just recommend running away while he's in Plague form. While he's in normal form, he'll just throw down a bunch of AoE conditions on the group. So just avoid the AoE conditions, range or melee, and you should be fine. He sometimes gets stuck on the rocks, so that's another trick. But if you have the kegs, again, it's just crazy how much damage you do. And that's it, we beat the last boss in 30 seconds. I find this cage at the end is sometimes hard to open. I think the best way to open it is from the stairs in the treehouse, and I will demonstrate that in a second.
I owe you one.
They used the poison on me.
There we go. It's sometimes hard to open, and I find that opening it from here works the best.
Maybe it's the drug talking. But you're being too hard on yourself. You fought against overwhelming odds, rescued your superior, and stopped a bandit operation. Job well done. Now, about that antidote.
Right away, Sergeant.
And that's it. Probably the most exploity path in the game. Thanks for watching, guys.